All right, does anybody have any questions or comments that they want to mention at this point?
Well, I really liked the elementary school presentations a lot. I thought they all sounded like things to kind of hang your hat on at each school, and I like the way that you just took the best strengths of your schools and just kind of set that out there and kind of titled yourselves. And I think it would be cool next year to learn from each other, and I'd love to see that project lead the way, for you all to be able to teach other schools and community stuff to go on. I just think that would be a fantastic, movement of all the specialties within your schools. So I read over everything, and it looks great. It was lengthy, and studying all of it, I took a lot of notes and things that I'd like to talk, just specifics to ask you about later, but I don't want to bore anybody with it. But I really like the elementary stuff a lot, and my stuff is just really piddly things that I just want to know and understand, so I'm more informed. So that's all I have to say.
I was going to say, Kate pretty much stole it for me. I loved your all's individual kind of breakdown of, like you said, the strengths of your schools. And I just think, even though they all are so different, I think it just speaks so well of, the differences between the schools, but how you all can do so many different things, but they're all going to be so beneficial to being a part of being innovative. So I just really appreciated your time, and it just sounds like there's some really great things going to be happening really amongst all of them. So thank you for your time and what you're doing to put into this effort. So
I'd just like to say thank you for taking your time out of your busy day. We see what all you're doing, to come and talk to us about it and let us know what's going on. I could tell that a lot of thought and hard work and collaboration with at the other schools as well as the teachers within the schools have gone into this plan, and I can tell it's stronger, and I think will really be beneficial to all the students in the system. So thank you.
And just from my point of view, and thinking about, we set the goals that we have as a district 6, maybe 7 years ago, and we've stuck with them since, and a lot of them don't really fit exactly with just kind of what is traditional schooling and what regular tests kind of show. So when we look at areas like powerful learning experiences, global preparedness, and all the rest, it's I thought kind of the same thing that everybody else has said, that it just in hearing schools talk about what you're trying to do, where emphasis is, and all the rest, that you found things to really focus on and to build up, and the ideas of getting involved in the community, focusing on arts, focusing on leadership, all things that it's just helpful, certainly for the board, to be able to hear and to kind of know what you guys are looking at, what you're doing, and how we're trying to move forward, and all of those ways that I think can just kind of cross-pollinate and inform each other. And looking specifically at our District of Innovation plan, I think this has been a very helpful exercise to go through the plan, to look, to make recalibration, to submit an amendment so that we can be very clear about where we are, where we're going, and begin to develop expectations and define ways that we can support that so that we're all working together in the same direction. So I've found this to be, just in reading through this, very helpful. I want to go to just a few quick points, just to say that we've struggled since we set the growth for all as a district goal. How do you measure that? How do you really be able to say that you're doing that? And even the state's growth measure on assessment, it's just kind of hard to know how things go into that definition and what it means. So for us to really take ownership of that, and for us to try to find a way to do that, I think is right on target for us, and something that I look forward to conversations about how that we really build that up, how we define that. It also goes into one other thing that I think is going to be a challenge, but I think it's going to be an exciting challenge for us. The idea that the MAP test is something that we can use to correlate with ACT. that's going to be a great opportunity for us, but it's also going to be a big challenge, just because, as this plan talks about, the standards are the Kentucky Core Academic Standards. As we talk with teachers and talk with our own kids about their performance on MAP, there are separate MAP skills that are different, a little bit at least, from those standards. And trying to understand, when students get MAP scores back, how do we work to improve those MAP scores, knowing that classes are based on at least a slightly different set of standards is a little bit of a perplexing thing. But then knowing that that also is something that kind of wraps into where kids are going on ACT, which has its own standards and its own definitions, I think that we would do a service not only to our community, but to lots of other school districts and lots of other places if we can get serious about trying to really figure this puzzle out. Core academic standards, ACT, MAP. How does it all work? How do we communicate to people? Because I think that when parents come to a school, when members of the community come to a school, they want to know a little bit of the same kind of thing that people want to know when they go to the doctor. Can you tell me what's wrong with me? Can you tell me, am I sick? And do I just have something that I can, through diet and exercise, improve? So if I go to school and I just learn and I study and I do whatever I need to do there, is that going to get me to where I need to be? Or do I need rehab? Do I need physical therapy? Do I need medication? Do I need to go into surgery tomorrow? So I think that getting a handle on these things, defining these things, working through this will help us be able to communicate. Hopefully, the goal will be that we can communicate to people in a very specific way. Where is your kid? How can your kid move forward? What is this going to tell you, not only about how they're doing on a MAP test that may sound a little bit like it's off base, but how does that connect with ACT? How does that, and then if we can talk to them about growth too. So I think that all of these things are very fertile ground for us, and being able to make a connection with kids, being able to make a connection with the community, and then also just being able to help teachers and administrators and other people be able to really say what we're doing in clear ways, and say what we're doing and where it's going to get us. So all of that's in here, and getting as clear as it is right now and knowing that we can take it even further, I think that that's very exciting. It was kind of a blip across there on one slide, but it just talked about how the project-based learning will expand across all grades. And I think that's exciting too. I look forward to talking about how we can provide resources and support to help make that happen, because I think that it resonates so strongly with kids and is part of what's behind that kind of excitement that people describe about intercession or discovery days, or those kinds of opportunities that kids have to kind of drive things for themselves a little bit more. Last, I just wanted to mention about PBATs, and I kind of laughed a little bit, and this may just be between me and Keith as we talk about this, but as we in 2013 submitted the initial plan, that kind of, the thing that you mentioned at the end about language of gateways, capstones, TPOLs, and all the rest. So we stole TPOLs from High Tech High. That's their word. We made up gateways and capstones kind of for ourselves, but those are things that other people use as well. But that idea of how do we define what we're doing and develop a common language has been a challenge, even just within the Danville schools from year to year. So I'm glad to see that we want to tackle that. We want to figure that stuff out, because we've borrowed other people's terms to some extent and made up some of our own, but we need to just get on the same page about that, and that'll be helpful. But as far as the PBATs, the one thing that I would kind of suggest, if there's an opportunity to add a sentence or two in this before it goes off to Frankfurt, when we met with the state board, the one thing that really perked them up that they talked about as far as things that they know that are happening in Danville that they feel like are relevant to where Kentucky is going, really had to do with PBATs, and really had to do with how that performance assessment, they feel like at the state level that that's a direction that they want to move forward in, that they want to try, that they want to get better at. The very issues that we've experienced at Bay with how do you line up groups to be able to score these things? How do you do that with some consistency? How do you juggle stuff being about content versus about just the process a kid worked through? All that is going to be incredibly useful to to the state as they move forward and hopefully move in this direction. So I would just encourage, if there's a way to say that in our work on PBATs, that we really want to partner with the state in any kind of piloting or any kind of work that they do on performance assessment. We want to be the group that can, I think that we already are the group that can inform it, but I think that we want to be the group that they turn to first to make that be something that helps the state of Kentucky move beyond just judging kids based on multiple choice tests, because we've got to get beyond that. And we know, and it's inspiring to see every year the kids who sit down at those tables and talk about what they know, and knowing that those kids, sometimes you can just kind of size them up as they walk up to the table, but just a change in wording in a question, or asking it a second time, or giving them just another minute to gather their thoughts, what they can come out with and how they can show what they've learned, what they know, what they're able to think through, is so much richer than whether or not they hit the wrong bubble on a question or whether they ran out of space before they were able to get to their main point on a short answer. So I think that is something that I hope that it comes through to the state in this presentation that we send, that we realize we are sitting on a little bit of a gold mine here in terms of how much work we've done already and where we can take it moving ahead, but what they can learn from us as well. So, in all these areas, I think the board is very eager to be about what we can do to build capacity, to build strength, to build quality in all these areas. And so, this is a very receptive audience for a presentation like this, and for work that says, let's go into some uncharted territory and let's try to measure something that's hard to measure in a good way as growth, to define in something like PBATs, and even to be able to see what we can learn from stuff like what you do at Jenny Rogers out in the community, or what happens with Leader and Me as you guys partner that with some other things that you're doing at Tolliver, or with the arts emphasis at Hogsett. I mean, I kind of love that you guys are doing things in 3 different directions, and what we can learn from that, but what we can show the community as far as what our schools are about and reaching all those different ways. So I thought that this was great to read through. I think it's great for us to feel like that we're all kind of together and working, that these are the things that we're working on, and that we can start to put muscle on the bone, and we can start to put resources behind the plans and see where we can go. So I commend everybody who's been part of this. And one more thing that I wrote down in my notes here. It's just another thing to really define that I think will be great. That idea of being able to measure and find a way to give parents and kids a check on whether or not they're on track to college readiness by the time they're in 8th grade, I think that will be important, because in sitting through the gateway presentations that kids do at the end of 8th grade, I think that a lot of kids finish middle school and feel like that now I'm going to the real thing. Now I'm going to high school that's going to lead me to a diploma. But the research that you show and just quoted for us, if you're not on track by the end of 8th grade, if you're not headed there, it may be a little bit too late. And I think that a lot of kids don't come to that realization soon enough. And so the better that we can do at getting that message across and make things happen so that happens for kids, that's exciting too. So what we need, I guess, after all of this, is just a motion to accept this recalibrated plan as an amendment to our District of Innovation plan to submit to the state. So if somebody wants to make that motion, we can move this forward.
I'll make a motion that we accept the recalibrated.
Sure.
Second.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to accept the recalibrated plan as our amendment to the District of Innovation plan. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. So thank you, Keith, for the presentation, for the work, and we look forward to getting after this. The next item on the
Give me 1 minute to make sure everybody's getting home where they need to be.
We will
I'm sorry,
take
I've been
a-
texting and
we'll
trying to
take
get
a
this.
1-minute break.
I thought this would go
Pretend
a
like there's
lot quicker
music
than it
playing
did, and I didn't make very good.
between this and the last item, which should be pretty quick.